When Onyeka called the mentor afterwards, do you know what the mentor said to Onyeka? Said, "Oh, Onyeka, you're Nigerian. You guys are scammers. I thought you were in on it too." The audacity. Oh my God, you know the part that got me? This guy is a millionaire and Onyeka wore a Fashion Nova dress to her wedding. He used her for green card. Can you imagine a Danish person using a Nigerian for US citizenship? Oh my God, I've never heard this in my life.
In this video, we're going to take a look at some reactions to the Danish deception story. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this story, click the link in the video description for the full series. A Nigerian-American woman was bamboozled by a Danish man with some very bad habits. A lot of people have a lot to say about this story. Let's take a look and be sure to leave your thoughts about this story in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
So we've all seen the Danish deception by now, and I haven't said a word because I make it a point not to speak on or about Black women because it is not my place, right? But her latest video talking about how shocked she is that the Black community is not supporting her, I mean, I just cannot shut up anymore and I have to say something. What you don't understand is that the reason that the Black community is not supporting you is because had this dude been Black, okay, you and your friends that gave him money would never have been in this situation. If this dude were Black, the second that he told you that he was in the Olympics, you would have Googled that shit. The second that he told you that he was royalty, you would have been like, I don't know about that. Let me Google it. The second that you went to his mama's house and it didn't match the home that you expected of a royal person, those would have been huge red flags to you as to, is this guy telling me the truth? If he were Black, you would have done all those things. The reason that you didn't do all those things is because this was a tall white dude that looked like Thor. And you were so enchanted by him and so happy that you had this big white dude in love with you that you didn't want to see the red flags. So miss me with that nonsense that the community that you would have been so prejudiced against had this dude been Black all of a sudden is not supporting you. Yeah, they're not going to support you because the reason you're in this situation is because this dude is white and this is what you wanted for your life and this was your dream. Had he been Black, you wouldn't be here and you know it.
I've just watched the Danish deception story and I have so many questions. Okay? Like, I'm surprised, but I'm also not surprised. Do you get what I mean? Like, I knew where the story was going from, like, part 4. Do you get what I mean? Like, there were so many red flags in this story, and I really do believe that the reason why he was able to get away with what he got away with was because he was from Denmark. Yeah, I believe that his white privilege, as well as his pretty privilege, is what awarded him the audacity to actually ask for money from all of these people, and they just like willingly gave it to him with no question, with no investigation. Do you know what I mean? The craziest part of the story to me is her giving her passport information to somebody she barely even knew. Like, she didn't even have his phone number. Like, who does that? Like, honestly, who does that? And like, every single time it just keeps coming back to me like, babe, you are Nigerian. You should have known better. You should have known better. Like, there's just so many things that don't add up. Like, I know that we're supposed to be feeling sorry for her. I understand that victim blaming is a thing, but I genuinely believe that we're not getting the full story here. I really think more happened. And I think that this is just a version of the story that she's comfortable with. Okay? Like, we still get to the point. But I know that her friends probably told her. That many friends involved, I know that there were friends who probably told her the truth, who probably told her to be careful. That friend who went with her on holiday, right? We never heard about her again. Remember, she was uncomfortable. She was uncomfortable with how excited and desperate she was. But she obliged because she's a good friend. This is what I mean. I know there's more to the story. I just know. I also believe that the entire story around him being a gambler and having a gambling addiction, I believe that that was all made up. I think that was part of the scam. I feel like she was so enthralled and so invested in being chosen, in being the type of girl that wouldn't that wasn't with him for his money. Like, she really wanted to prove that so bad, even though she was. Let's be honest, right? I think that she just wanted it so bad that she couldn't see that that was also part of the scam. Because it's the perfect cover-up, of course. Like, if you can't pay the money back, then you just say you have a gambling addiction and you've gambled it all away. Then no one expects you to pay it back. It's actually quite genius, actually. But yeah, man, I just feel like there are so many holes in this story, even in the way that she's told the story. Do you get what I mean? Like, even the bit where she's talking about the hooker and she's saying that that the girl looked like a hooker and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I just feel like, was that part of the story necessary? What did it add? This is what I mean. Like, you've got to watch these little clues. Do you get what I mean? I just feel like there's more to the story, guys. There's more to the story. She was just so easily invested. And let's be for real, she went after him. And to this day is not really taking responsibility for her part. Like, she kind of handed it to him on a platter. Like, she made it so easy for him. Like, yes, I feel bad. I feel like she was groomed, but then I struggle with that because I'm like, you went after him. Do you know what I mean? Like she hid the marriage from her family because she knew that this was crazy. She knew that they were in financial ruin and then they still kept going on the trips. Make it make sense. Like, I don't know. This is what I'm saying. I struggle, like, morally, I struggle with it because I want to feel sorry for her. But at the same time, it's like, you did this to yourself, babe. Like you were the perfect mark. The perfect mark. And I just don't understand because I'm like, as a Nigerian, he borrowed money from all of your family and nobody brought it up. Nobody said anything. Like, if my husband took money from my mum, she would definitely mention it, surprise or not. She's gonna say something to me, like, just so you're aware, like, I gave him a little something. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, like, so many questions, man, so many questions. But it's good that she's finally divorced him, but I just want to know, like, how much is the debt really? Because I know that there was more. I just know there's more to the story. I just know. But yeah, let this be a lesson, man. Let this be a lesson to never, ever, ever in your life give money to a man. Because a Nigerian babe would never. But after hearing this story, who flipping knows?
You cannot convince me that someone is healthy and secure and will stay with a man after she goes on a date with him in a foreign country. She blacks out. She wakes up in a pool of blood and urine. And he tells her that it's water. And she smells herself and she realizes he's lying. It's actually urine. But what was her reaction? Her reaction was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I've been on a date with this guy and I smell. That's not the reaction of a healthy person. So you can't necessarily expect unhealthy, traumatized people to operate like healthy individuals. You and I are not going to be doing that. So she starts to, from her point of view, invest in the relationship because he lies and he cons her. But this is her dream. Her dream is to be with a successful, good-looking white guy, and he's giving her everything. So she doesn't use her critical thinking skills. Instead, she's like, what's $6,000 to a guy who's got like millions? Let me invest in the marriage. And the more she gives, the more it actually keeps her in this abusive relationship. Almost like a cult. You see it all the time where these people give hundreds of thousands of dollars to some guru, but once they realize this can't be right, they have to keep going with it because once they stop, they have to accept that they've lost so much money, they've torn families apart, they've lied and they've betrayed themselves. You cannot expect someone who's not healthy and who's been traumatized to operate like a fully functioning, healed and secure person. Is she not accountable to what she's done for herself? She absolutely is. But that's the thing that I'm missing. I'm seeing a lot of people watching it and saying, it couldn't be me. Well, it couldn't be you because you've learned lessons before. And you probably have girlfriends that you're telling everything to every step of the way. And that's what I really encourage all you women to do. Always tell your girlfriends everything. You're going to have a girlfriend who'll be like, girl, firstly, he's not that cute. Secondly, don't do that. And I know some of her girlfriends did warn her and she didn't listen anyway. But at least that's going to be a barrier to protect you. This is why it's so important to have critical thinking skills. This is why it's so important to really spend time with yourself. When you love and provide for yourself, no man can con you, because you're going to be like, you know what? Something's not right. Whew. I hope she really receives some of the feedback, especially from the African women, and she changes. Otherwise, she's probably going to get conned again.
And one last thing about this whole Danish deception thing, I feel like the main reason why she ended up where she ended up was because she was so busy trying to prove to this man that she wasn't a gold digger, never realizing that he was one. You're so busy trying to say, I'm not with you for the money. Look, I could pay for trips. I could pay for this. And he's like, you know what? You could pay for everything. When that man took you to that store and you passed the Lady Dior bag, which is a couple $1,000s, to buy yourself a $200 pair of sunglasses, and that man said to you, oh, you're cheap. That's an insult. I'm sorry. A provider man is never going to accuse you of being a gold digger. He's never going to make you feel like you're using him. Everything is more expensive for women. There's literally something called a pink tax. I feel like when she heard that man say that he was royalty, she considered all the money that she was spending on him as an investment to prove to him that she wasn't the gold digger. She was willing to overlook all of these lies because she thought he had money. Low key, I feel like they were both playing a game. And she got outplayed. She got caught up in all this talk about expensive watches and properties being sold for $500,000, and she fell for it. And she has refused to take accountability for her role and where she ended up. She didn't start telling everybody what she knew until that man left her. And then she found out that he was using other people too. She could have saved herself so much time if she had just confided in her inner circle. We're done a basic Google search. Kissing a frog and him turning into a prince only happens in Disney fairy tales. It doesn't happen in real life. He knew that she wanted a Prince Charming, and he literally presented himself as one.
I am absolutely sick to my stomach on how people are reacting to the Danish deception storytime videos. Lack of empathy I am seeing online from fellow women is actually disturbing. Now let's talk about the part where everybody is clowning her for, which is the fact that this man lied about being a royal and claimed to be an Olympian, and a lot of people are saying that this is on her, this is her fault, she was dumb, she was ignoring the red flags and the warning signs. And the thing that you're completely missing in this story time is that this is a professional con man. This is somebody who was clever enough to even con some of his friends back home. And when someone like this gaslights you, love bombs you, and when someone gives you the type of love and attention that you have been starved for your entire life, you are going to protect that love, not interrogate it. It is the same logic behind why cult members stay in cults even when the cult leaders are saying absolutely crazy, outlandish stuff. Once you are emotionally invested, your brain actually prioritizes maintaining the lie over seeking truth. This is something called aspirational trust, and it is a psychological phenomenon where someone believes another person not because of the evidence or logic, but because that person embodies something they aspire to have, admire, or want to be close to. Obviously, Onyeka is aspiring to live a certain kind of lifestyle, to come across a certain way on social media. So all of you people saying, oh, I would have Googled him immediately, I would have clocked him immediately for what he is. If you were in her psychological state, where she is in fact the victim, no, you would have not. And about the comment that she made about the girl that was seen with her ex out on a date that she said was a 1 out of 10 that looked like an H word. People were jumping on that as if it's some smoking gun, that she's not a good person, that she somehow deserves this. And all that proved to me is what I've known all along listening to her story, and that is she's a deeply insecure woman who at no matter what cost just desperately needs to be loved and chosen by a man. Onyeka wasn't stupid, she was targeted, and any woman could be in her position, and I honestly feel that the lack of empathy for her is pretty sad. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and if you agree with my take.
My first issue with the Danish deception, which by the way, I stopped around part 13, right around the time she realised that he'd taken $32,000 of her money and never told her about his gambling addiction. That's when I thought, look, that man might have robbed all your savings, but you are not going to rob me of my free time with this bullshit. Even then she's like, yeah, sounds good. Let's take another trip. Someone in the comments said, what are you celebrating? Debt. First things first, why does she keep referring to this man as her ex? You were not his wife, babe. you were his victim. Given your syndrome and all of the places you decided to travel, I'm surprised you didn't go to Stockholm. It's like, even when she tells the story, she's like, oh yeah, but I ignored it because we were so madly in love. No, girl, you were in love. He was in your purse. Given the fact the man's own dad has said that he's irresponsible with money, my girl did 2 + 2 and came up with a round trip to Cabo. Also, you didn't think for a second that somebody that was part of the royal family or had royal family connections couldn't get a measly 6K from anyone else in their life. Another massive red flag was him saying that he was in the Olympics, and you didn't think that in the months that you'd been together and talking non-stop that he hadn't mentioned it once. I did have to laugh though. I did have to laugh, and guys, please don't crucify me for speaking my thoughts out loud, but when she said that her family were like smitten with him instantly, I just thought, nah, not the white man scamming the Nigerians. It's meant to be the other way around. Next thing that pissed me off was this herniated disc, where he supposedly needed an operation, but then 2 days later was talking about going to see the Christmas lights. That was supposed to be on December 22nd, but then on December 23rd, he told her he had a row with his family and wanted to go to Paris. What happened to the herniated disc? You've got all of these people back in Denmark watching your Instagram stories, and you still didn't think it was a little bit suspicious that this man had 15 active haters from back in his hometown. Next red flag, and this fucking pissed me off, was when she went to his family home. She's like, oh, but I know billionaires that drive Honda Civics. Name one. Just one. I can wait all day. Also, you thought that these people were investing millions into luxury properties, but then were living in a shack themselves. She keeps going, at this point, I never caught him in a lie. No, babe, because you didn't know jack shit. You literally work in real estate and you still didn't know anything. You still didn't turn on Google and think, let me just check. So I hate the fact that she referenced Reese's Teases and was like, that should have been my sign. No, babe, your sign should have been the Tinder swindler. That came out before. You can tell that this was an unhealthy attachment from the get-go. Talking about, oh, I was so depressed when he left. He didn't die, babe. He just went to another country. That's an insecure attachment that you need to deal with, because A, it's not healthy, and B, as we have seen, people can exploit that. So this whole, I would love you if you were broke, and then finds out what that life is really like. How about we just stop lying, saying finances don't matter? Her main problem is that she's giving 110% to a man that she's basically just met. When you're in a committed relationship, I still don't think giving that much is okay. Maybe 20 years down the line, but second problem is that she's trying to keep up with the Joneses. The problem is, babe, that you live downtown. The Joneses live upstate. And she was on good money too, until she quit her job while they were having financial troubles. I still don't really get that. I don't get why he asked her to do that, and I don't get why she did that. The fact she didn't tell a single person, not a best friend, not somebody in her family, solely because she wanted to protect his image, is just one of the many reasons why people are saying, pick Misha. Look, I don't even know how the saga ended. All I heard was that he was the one that left her. She was still clinging on for dear life after all of that. But lastly, I just want to say I do think we should extend some props to Onyeka, because y'all couldn't have waterboarded that shit out of me.
Guys, you're being unfair. They got married because she loved his heart, because he danced well, and because he was tall and had blue eyes and has a full set of hair. But that doesn't matter. She loved his kindness, his soul. He also took her to Monaco and Saint-Tropez, but that doesn't matter. That's secondary. She loved his humor. Above all, he was funny. He came from a good family. Did I mention he was a prince? But that's secondary. That doesn't matter. That's not what this was about. She loved him for him.
You see the Danish Deception, yeah? I watched it in full, all 26 parts, yeah? Hey, Martin Fredsgood Anderson will never know peace for what he did. The way he managed to just swindle anyhow, hundreds of thousands, even in the millions, out of people, it needs to be studied. Do you know how annoyed it got me when I heard Onyeka give Martin money? Martin that claimed to be a member of the royal family in Denmark, a millionaire, an Olympian. It's all a lie. It's all like, Can you imagine? He just came from an ordinary household. That's why when him and Onyeka both went to Denmark, he was so self-conscious and embarrassed with the house that it wasn't giving royalty, that he wanted to go and stay in a hotel. There were certain times in the story, yeah, where I thought Onyeka didn't have a lick of sense. Because if my man's telling me that he's an Olympian or he used to be in the Olympics, I'm gonna search it up on Google. When he did it, what sport it was, what medal he won. It's so easy to just Google that stuff. Like, you could have caught him in that light easily. Onyeka gave him $6,000. Onyeka gave him $5,000. Onyeka gave him $18,000. Onyeka gave him $3,000. You gave this man $29,000. Okay, this man that claimed to be a millionaire, and you can't fork out $29,000. Claimed to be in a job that was a $400,000 a year job, and you can't even fork out $29,000. Yeah. He kept talking about this one account that the money was being held from the sale of a property. That 200k, 300k that was locked away for a year and a half from the sale of that property. Ooh, that Seth was a lie. Don't even forget the Cabo trip. And that brings me on to the next thing real quick. Let me just detour. Trip after trip after trip after trip. Even after Martin exploited crypto for $200,000. Yeah? When the gasp that I gasped. Even after this guy exploited the crypto, yo, you're still going on trips. Panama, Portugal, Colombia. Where's the money for this? They're talking about financial hardship. If that's financial hardship, sign me up. Apparently, you paid her $9,000. Common, ordinary $9,000. That should be chicken change for you, a millionaire. So till this very day, he still owes her $20,000. But that $20,000 is even inconsequential, okay? Because the amount of money that he took from people, I wouldn't be surprised if it was in the seven figures. He came for the dad, he came for the sister, he came for all the friends, came for the cousin. Oh my goodness. Even that Rolex, the Rolex that he said he was gonna sell. You've got $50,000 Rolex there, and you owe good sis here $20,000. You see how that would have invoked another spirit in me? Why are you showing me Rolexes that are worth more than the debt that you owe to me? That should have been your sign. That should have been your sign, sis. And then the Rolexes ended up being fake. And do you know how we figured that one out? The mentor that he tried to exploit. Can you imagine? Even, that's another thing. Do you know what the mentor said? After Martin had now finished scamming him for $30,000. When Onyeka called the mentor afterwards, do you know what the mentor said to Onyeka? Said, "Oh, Onyeka, you're Nigerian. You guys are scammers. I thought you were in on it too." The audacity. The temerity. Who even knows if the parents, who even knows if the parents are even his parents, bro? Oh my God, you know the part that got me? This guy is a millionaire, and Onyeka wore a Fashion Nova dress to her wedding. And even the fact that Onyeka was begging for this guy after he was trying all sorts of shit. I don't love you. I don't want you. I'm going away. I'm going back to Denmark. I've got a job that can pay $1 million a year. He was saying all of this to her after she sussed him out for not paying the $10,000 to her mum. That right there was the catalyst. He knew he didn't need her anymore. And that's another thing. He used her for green card. Can you imagine a Danish person using a Nigerian for US citizenship? Oh my God, I've never heard this in my life. And then another thing, bro, they were dating for a matter of weeks, like, I don't know, 3 weeks. She's already sending in pictures of her passport to book flight. Martin knew right after that he had Onyeka wrapped around his finger. Onyeka quit her job. When I tell you, yeah, I almost melted into the floorboards when I heard that. Because you're not even financially okay. The money that you're meant to be getting from the sale of the property, you're not getting that till light years in the future. The guy's giving you excuses. And while all of this is happening, you've quit your job and you're still going on trips. You see, the part that got me the most angry was bloody when they were celebrating their anniversary, and he now must have gone to go and do spending spree on drinks for everybody, and he got so drunk. And can you imagine, this guy had the audacity, the temerity, the effrontery to shout at Onyeka, "Who do you think you are?" Da, 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 da. When I tell you, one hot slap that would have just evaporated his cheek, yeah? Because you have the cheek to shout at me when you owe me $20,000. Oh my God, and have I even spoken about the parents here? Bro, and the family, bro. The fact that the family were keeping this gambling addiction, because I don't even know if it's true, but we'll get to that later. The fact that the family were keeping this 10-year gambling addiction from Onyeka, that was weird as hell. From the jump, you should have been like, "Oh, Onyeka, I'm sure you know about his gambling addiction, don't you?" Of course there's something to bring up, because his mother's house got bricked down by people that he owed money to. The guy was entangled with a lot of shady people. So the older sister, who is a police officer, had to now go and speak to these shady people that he owed money to. They set up a payment plan. Martin was meant to keep up the payment plan. He did not even pay a dime. Do you know where he went? He went to Shanghai, China. All of this stuff should have been mentioned. It all should have been mentioned. Oh, because I'm nosy as fuck. Do you know what I would have done? I would have gone to go and ask the older sister myself. If I was Onyeka, I would have gone to go and ask, "So why did you and your brother fall out?" I'm there. It would have been all out in the open that he had this gambling addiction, that he was a shady ass motherfucker, and we would have avoided all of this story. But guys, it's so crazy. He went from Dolce & Gabbana, $200 sunglasses are cheap, to fake Rolex. Fake Rolex that he was going to go and flex in the villages of Nigeria. And I also don't think that he actually had this gambling addiction. I just think that he used it to evade accountability. Yes, to evade accountability from the fact that he was scamming people of money, robbing people dry. I think Onyeka's eyes were, they were closed, they were shut. And I think it was because she was in this fantasy land. She didn't think that this white man could ever do such a thing to her. Can you imagine, after putting her through hell, he broke up with her? That part was so insulting. It was so insulting. But I also think if he didn't break up with her, she would still be with him even till today. From the second that she found out that he lied about being an Olympian, Onyeka should have broken up with him. And that's even another thing. The rush to get married. What's the rush? That in itself is a red flag. Oh my God, I'm so deeply in love that I'm gonna get married to someone that I've only known for a couple of months. What? Anyways, final thoughts. He is a sick, twisted scammer that will never know peace in his lifetime. And Onyeka just needs to build a bit of survival skills, honestly. Just a bit of critical thinking skills, honestly. Because there were so many red flags you could have picked up on. You could have avoided all of this mess. Like, ugh. It's a shame, it's a deep shame, but you know, what can we do? We live and we learn.
Am I proud of this content? Of course I am. I spoke eloquently, I made sense, and I was real. Girl, Onyeka, like, it's okay just to say, you know what, guys, I was a little dumb. That was dumb of me. That's what actually like connects people to people on the internet. That's what made Risa Tisa so likable and gave her a career after this. Be so for real, girl. You know, a little bit of you like the fact that, and hope I'm not overly clucking your tea right now. I'll hold your hand when I say this. We all saw your Instagram, you know, we all see you at the end of all the photos with all your white friends. I'm sure it gave you an ego boost, you know, a social bump, when you came in with this tall Danish white man that went to Europe with you in Kenwa. Now you're feeling, you know, more accepted by your white friends. Now you're feeling like, you know, your white friends are feeling like your husband is hot. Let's talk the real reality things now. It's okay to feel like that. Like, that's not an issue, but don't act like, oh my gosh. Really? Only one man. His dog is this. His apartments are flooding. They're catching on fire. This one. The IRS is taking his money. He's going to court here. Like, auntie, even you too. You're a Nigerian girl from Dallas that goes to the village. Be so for real. You know you enjoyed a bit of the tease, and that's a part of the reason why you kept it running for so long. And a part of the reason why you didn't even leave him. He had to leave you. Like, sis, I'm not even trying to, like, you know, jump on you. I'm just more saying, if you're going to come with this long story, be for real. I also am a Nigerian American girl raised and socialized around white people. Okay, I went to private schools my whole life. But this kind of talk, all this, I came here to spread awareness. Like, okay, but be so for real. Like, be for real. You didn't like the way the internet is doing what the internet does. But at the end of the day, the internet is comprised of a body of people, just like a jury that has common sense, and we're gonna, investigate the facts of the case. And the facts of the case remain that, girl, cognitive dissonance day. Just admit it. Be like, you know what, guys, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, this was a little dumb. Like, yeah, it was actually a little dumb. I enjoyed the social boost. I wanted to be married. I wanted to be, I hang around white people. I wanted to, be associated with white people. It's okay. Nobody's gonna beat you up. But pretending like you're this perfect victim is corny. That's just the thing. So thank you for the paragraph. Yes, I am very proud of my content. I give it up to peasy, squeezy, to leasy. One thing about me and my content, girl, watch my big fat Nigerian wedding, watch Tea with Chi TV, watch Chiato. I really do. I gives it up heavy. But yeah, just like be honest with yourself. You liked it. And that's how you entered it. Pomquem. Okay? Okay. Bye, girl.
I just finished watching The Danish Deception, and there was just a couple things that struck me as odd that I had to comment on. But first off, let that love never find me or any of y'all for that matter. Number one, I feel like the first time she got mad, like truly upset in the series, was when she realized that the family didn't tell her. I had not seen her display any type of anger for that man at that point. The man who lied with you, like tricked you to falling in love with you. Like, who knows if he ever loved her? That's not surely not how I would treat anyone I loved. So I doubt that. And the first time you're mad is at his family. Number two, the amount of the lack of communication between the people in this story. So you're telling me that he was able to go to all these individual people who all know each other, and none of them were like sitting at dinner and like, you know what's weird? My sister's boyfriend borrowed $3,000 from me, and no one was like, oh wait, he did that for me. Like, there was no discussion of this. Also, nobody bothered to tell her. Like, if my friend's man calls and asks me for money, first of all, no. But then after that, I'm calling her and be like, why is your man asking me for money? Especially if I'm seeing you fly to all these random countries. I don't care if his visa is up every 90 days. You live in Texas, cross the border. But no, y'all aren't breaking the 90 days there. You're breaking it in Paris and Portugal and Colombia and all of this and that. And it's just like, that just doesn't compute to me. Number three, her now being like, I want to put this man in jail, like after the series. I doubt that she wants to. Because, again, you're telling me that after all of this, you only are now, like, I see people in the comments being like, oh, you can send him to Danish jail doing XYZ. And she's like, oh, I'm gonna look into this. So you haven't looked into it yet. You were just happy to let the man con you and all of your loved ones and, like, destroy your reputation in the city that you live. Like, you didn't look into this before. You started to use ChatGPT towards the end, thank God. You didn't want to ask ChatGPT about that? I don't even know what point this is, but like, how can you fall for so many lies and not conclude that that person is just a liar? Like, if I find like 2 weird things about a person, I'm gonna do my own investigation, but I'm always gonna have in the back of their mind, like, oh, like they're a little shisty. This man lied to you that many times and you didn't start to fact check everything he said? Like, you let him go into the bank without you just so you could see what he's gonna do? You know what he's gonna do. And it's insane to me. And maybe I've never been in love. Actually, please give me your opinion on this, because the way that she was still willing to work with him, I would have been so far gone by then. So far gone. We would not have had a 24-part story with me, 26, but about 3 parts. But at all of that, you're still willing to work with him? And you're like trying to fight for your marriage as he's fighting to leave you? Insanity.
Okay, y'all, so I started watching The Danish Deception yesterday, and I won't lie, if y'all made it through all 27, 30, however many parts it is, y'all are strong. Y'all are some Power Rangers. Because, baby, I think I made it to 8 or 10, and I literally could not. I physically could not. For my mental health, I could not finish. I could not go any longer. I genuinely, I was like, are we being rage baited right now? Like, are we all being collectively punked by Onyeka? Like, my jaw continued to drop. And I understood that, y'all, this is someone else's life, but the way it made my skin boil. First of all, Onyeka, I'm gonna give you your flowers, girl. Like, grown woman, sugar honey iced tea. Like, I was so happy for you. Like, I love seeing a successful Black woman. That, aside from everything else, like, we're gonna get to everything else later, but I will give you your flowers. Like, as a Black woman myself, it is just so inspiring seeing other successful Black women. You want something, you get it. You want to travel, you want to do that. I was just so pleased. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's just, you want to go to Paris, you're going to Paris. You want to go to Dubai, you're going to Dubai. You want to go to Morocco, go to Morocco. Like, you want to go to Denmark, go to Denmark, period. That's what I'm talking about. Black woman, that is what I'm talking about. Second of all, baby, sugar mama, the savings, the money, baby girl. You said you work in tech and real estate. Baby, for you to just be, he needs 6,000 and you send 6,000, like, could never be me. But I was like, baby girl, like, sis has money. Sis has money. Now let's get on to the nitty gritty. Baby, when he said he was a royal prince, first of all, okay, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. When he took you shopping and was like, whatever the expensive bag I can't even remember. Baby, them little 200 pair of sunglasses. No, I want to see how much of a prince you really are. Baby, I want the bag. I want the matching wallet. And I'm going to get the sunglasses and probably some jewelry. And I'm probably going to get me a perfume and all that. Like, we're going to see, since you're from the royal descent, royal family. That off the bats, I was just like, lame. I feel like anybody who really, really, really has money, in my personal experience, the men who really have money are the men who don't talk about how much money they have. That's just always been the thing. Like, it's always the men, the silent flexers. They don't ever talk about how much money they have. It's always the guys who feel like they have to go buy a new car, build a car, or they have to go flex a watch, or they have to post all over their socials, their new apartment they just moved in. You really don't have money like that. But the ones who don't, they got money. At least the men I know, they really got money. They don't flex it at all. But then how does it go from you come from a royal family, but then you turn around and you don't have $6,000? You don't have $6,000. You make $400,000 a year, and you don't have 15,000. Like, it's the fact that you were so comfortable sending this man all this money. Baby, you wouldn't have even got $1 out of me. First of all, we haven't even been together for a year and you're asking me for money and you claim to come from a royal family? No, I'm sorry, but no, he would have never got a dime out of me, babe. You would have never got a dime. I don't care. No. And then for him to come back, and then what really did it was you sent him $15,000 over the course of 5 days, and he texted you, good morning, don't forget to send the 5,000, and then you turn around and sent him another 3,000. It ain't my money. It ain't my story. It's not my life. And the thing is, as I was watching this video, I just feel like she would go back to him. I feel like she really would go back to him. Like, it didn't give that, like, she was done with him. It gave, this is what he did to me. But I feel like we could work this out if he were to apologize. He had good reason. I absolutely feel like she would go back to him. I really do feel like she wanted her little Risa Tisa moment. This is just not the same as Risa Tisa, though. Like, and in the beginning of it, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel sorry for her. I was like, dang. But as time went on, Onyeka, you as a Black woman, we are nosy. We ask questions. You're not about to just sit here and say something to me and I'm just going to believe it. I'm going to go straight to my phone, and if need be, which I don't go through phones, but if I have to, I absolutely will. You don't ask enough questions for me, babe. And then you said that you went all the way to Denmark and his family lived in a humble home. No, I'm sorry. Y'all said y'all got $12 million that y'all owe in taxes. This house is not giving. Y'all owe 12. You don't ask enough questions. And the thing is, your family, for him to scam all y'all, baby, as soon as a man would have asked my mom for some money, my mom would have been texting me like, why is he asking me for some money? Y'all don't talk enough. And then the thing is, like, I want to feel bad. I do genuinely want to feel bad because it seems like you were really... I've been in love too. But I'm not sending you all these thousands. I'm just not doing that at all. That never could be me. Never would be me. Then people are like, it could happen to you. It couldn't. It wouldn't. Because I would never. I would never. Soon as you ask me for some $6,000, babe, you're blocked. Like, I don't know what you thought this was. You the one that comes from a royal family. I'm sorry, but no. She's over here like, well, I didn't want him to think that I was the guy thinking that. Okay, cool. But you want to tell me that, oh, you come for all this royalty and then he takes you shopping, like, get anything you want. Okay, babe, I'm going to get anything I want. Period. I mean, you offered. It is what it is. But I feel like it just comes to a point where, like, you just allowed it. Like, you literally allowed it. So it's hard for me to feel bad because it's like, I mean, he didn't do, like, he got his money. He got his money. And I just feel like it is sad that it happened. But at the same time, like, her and her family, I'm almost like, congratulations, dude. Like, you're a top tier scam artist. Like, and then she married him. And the thing is, you continued to give him money. He comes to you like, oh, something really bad happened. I had a really bad day. I need $20,000. And you're just like, anything, babe, anything. Absolutely not.
She would have vetted him more in America than when she was in Europe, because why would anyone in Europe lie to her in her mind? You have to understand, these are people, don't come for me now, who have seen Meghan Markle come from America to Europe, find her prince, have this great love affair, and happily ever after, obviously to come, but happily ever after. So she's now in Europe on holiday, meeting this great guy at this bar in this expensive location in Hvar in Croatia, in this, private members club. And this guy who she thinks is probably her Prince Harry is saying he's going to fly her out. You have to understand, in America, people get flown out, all the time because there's states and whatnot. But in Europe, guys generally don't fly you out because they're too frugal. To fly you out means you got to plan the accommodation, you got to plan the flights, you got to plan the restaurants, you got to plan the whole date. And for someone you don't know, most European guys don't do that. As a British guys don't do that. To do all of that for someone you've just met, for her, it's probably the norm in America to get flown out. So she's getting flown out, and in her mind, he's got it like that. It's nothing random. That's why some of the things I heard, context is so important. I had to put myself in her mindset and be like, why would she fall for this so easily? Okay, because she comes from a culture where it's easy to get flown out. Okay, third point, she's a bit talkative, and 26 parts, I had to press 2 times speed for all these videos because I couldn't sit through that. But she looks like someone who is very talkative, great at communicating. After all, she sells real estate. She sells homes and property for a living. So she needs to talk. I think she was also trying to sell herself on that first date. I think when the friend was like, for her to even say stuff like, oh, tell me the kind of guy, tell me the kind of girl that he would like and stuff like that. She's already setting herself. She's trying to put things into motion for things to go. So ultimately, she created her own downfall because she pursued him. That's what I'm going to say in that. She pursued him. She asked for his Instagram. When he asked to fly her out, she said okay. Even at the point that her German friend said no, she still pursued it. Her putting her hand on his lap. She was free meat. And he's a wolf, okay? And a lion saw free food. She's free food. I believe firmly, based on what I've seen on the video she's done, her selling herself. I know as a talkative, she's probably told him what she does for a living, how much she probably earns. The back for back, thinking that this is someone in the same industry as her. So she let her guard down. She was slightly drunk. So he's just gathering data, gathering information on this young woman, gathering substantial information and thinking to himself, hold on, I don't even have to go to China right here to finesse people. I don't have to go to the gamblers to get the loan checks to get the money. This is free meat. This girl, I know for a fact because she's told us she earns £150,000 a year, $150,000 a year. She probably told him she earns $150,000 a year. So he's calculated, okay, she's got the money, she's got access to an American passport. And I know many people will be like, oh no, but he's Danish, he's from Denmark, he doesn't need the American passport. But when you're a budding criminal like him, you need the American passport. He done committed crimes all around his area. He's committed crimes in China. America is a land of opportunity and dreams. Of course, he's going to want to go there and solidify this grand scheme to finesse. And finesse he did. I guarantee you he Googled her. And he saw that she was on The Bachelor. Or maybe, once again, as a talkative woman, she probably told him that she was on The Bachelor, that she's never had a proper relationship. So she's told him all this information now. And he's thinking, wow, what have I done in life to get all this? Like, she is food. You know, she's gone on the show. That means she's got some fame. That means he can attach some fame to his name. Because all I did was Google his name and it literally comes up as husband to Bachelor star. Da, 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 da. So he's got the fame. He's got the finance, her finances, her family's finances. Here's another thing. I think we shouldn't be so hard on the parents. She's like 34, 36. That means her parents are probably in their 70s. That means they're in the twilight years of their life, so they're not fully like coherent with what's going on and very sharp with being fully Nigerian. I also think that they're second gen Nigerian, which makes her third gen Nigerian. So they're not in that struggle mode to prove themselves and create the American dream. I think they've already set up an American lifestyle dream for her because she's educated, you know, she's got a great job. They had a great job. They can afford to fund her white wedding. She assumed they would fund her white wedding. So clearly the money is there. The funds is there. So as a first gen Nigerian, how first gen Nigerians think is, they're in like that mode, that hungry mode where they want to monopolize, they want to take over, they're so industrious, they're so entrepreneurial, they need to make it, it's do or die, it's fight or flight. Her parents are comfortable now, so they're not vetting him in that way, like they're not going to do their due diligence, because in their mind, this girl has never had a proper relationship before. She's been ultimately the perfect daughter, very obedient, got a great job, never been in trouble, has great friends, has a great social circle, you know, has done such great things that they're probably boasting about her. For them to think that why would they need to go and vet the man she's brought home? This is the first time she brought a man home. They trust that she would have done the right thing and vetted him. So that's why they didn't really vet him. Yes, Google is free. There's going to be a part 2 to this because I have to delve some more. I'll see you in part 2. The thing that really triggered me about the story was the friends. You're telling me the friends couldn't talk to each other and be like, yo, he borrowed money from me and he hasn't paid it back. Or they couldn't call her to the side and be like, hey, I hope everything's great, but I've seen on your Instagram that you're in, you know, Colombia, you're in Paris, you're here and there, but your husband did borrow £3,000 from me. When is that man going to pay it back? None of them could have brought her aside to ask. That's the part of the story that I don't understand. Like, they must be super wealthy that £3,000 was not a lot of money for them. To add to that, they must be super wealthy. The friend that borrowed 150k, but the inflation made it 200 to 300 based on crypto, never told her when is he gonna pay back. Then the other guy who was his mentor didn't reach out to her and be like, what's going on? These are seriously wealthy people. Like, take away from the fact that, you know, she's on The Bachelor and all stuff. She surrounded herself with seriously wealthy people. Because how did none of them ask for their money back? She had to reach out to them to be like, did he scam you? Are we missing this thing? That's huge. This is huge. Her social circle must be so elite that they never reached out to her to get their money back. That's the part of the story that blows my mind. Completely blows my mind. My nosy ass would have been on her Instagram page taking screenshots saying, hey, he needs to pay back, or you need to pay back, or one of y'all needs to pay back. And this is precisely why I wrote Single to Engage in 1 year, a no-nonsense book that helps you secure the ring faster, but I should have written and smarter. For instance, look, don't trust any man. Regardless of ethnicity, all men are the same. If she'd seen that, she would have realized that anyone can con her, not just men of certain ethnicities. Another thing, if she'd known, never marry a man out of pity or desperation, she would have known that, bruh, something is off here. I don't want to give him no passport by marrying him quickly so he can stay. Again, abuse is not okay. Leave the first time. Have a courage to walk away from what doesn't feel good. She didn't leave him. She didn't initiate the divorce until he said he didn't want to be married anymore. Again, never tell a man how much you earn. These are just one of 100 gems in this book, Single to Engage in 1 year. I don't want to hear another one of these Risa Tisa stories, Danish deception. All of these women, single to engage in 1 year. All of these women, single to engage in 1 year. None of this stuff would be happening. Buy the book. And then she kept saying at the start of it that her and her sister are very close. And I can believe that they're very close. But we are not close enough that I can't tell you that your husband owes me money. He borrowed the first time and paid back and I never told you? How? How? And then the parents, he borrowed from the parents and never told you? Like, none of y'all talking to each other? How? How close are you that you guys don't discuss? That's why I say that they can't be first generation Nigerian. They just can't. They just can't. I don't know these people from Adam, but they just can't be first generation. The point that everyone keeps making on this site is about him being white and how can a white guy scam a Nigerian? Nigerians are scammers. Pause right there. Nigerians have only been scamming for the last 100 years. If that. White men have been scamming since the 1600s. These white chocolate niggas have been scamming since the 1600s. They monopolized the whole world. They got the whole world to think that they were the height of society. They went around cutting up Africa. They went around doing 400 years of slavery. They went around doing all these shambolic things that they've now convinced all of us to forget about it and project on new upcoming countries where there's crime going on, like Colombia, like several parts of Africa and Congo and whatnot, when they invented fraud. They invented fraud. So let's stop with the whole Nigerian narrative on Nigerian scammers. Nigerians have not been scamming for more than 100 years. They haven't. And until y'all wake up and realize that the majority of Nigerians are not criminals. Yes, their politicians are. I will never sit here and say that they're not. Like, the politicians are the most corrupt. And I see several celebrities and their kids who are like, oh, come from, money and Nepo babies. If your parents have any ties or grandparents have any ties with the government in Nigeria or in Africa, then you're a product of fraud and deception. You're a product of theft and thievery. It's in your genes. It's in your bloodline. And the sons of the father, y'all will pay for it. Least I deviate. Okay, so let's not sit here and say, oh no, that we can't believe she was scammed by Nigerians, because most Nigerians are not fraudsters. Most Nigerians don't do scams and frauds and stuff. It's literally the 1% of the 1% who do it, but they do it on such a grand scale that it's notable, and the West will project it on all social media platforms and keep that narrative going. The big scammers are the white men. They are scamming people. They are the reasons why financial destruction is going on. The recession, was that Nigerians that did the recession that affected the whole world? Was it the American recession? The Great Depression, was it Nigerians that did that? No, it's the big men in the big industries who are doing all the stuff. Enron, the scam that went on with that, was that Nigerians? It wasn't, So back to my point, this Danish guy could pull that off so easily. Why? Because he could. Because it will go undetected. Because of his... And another thing, I saw that she follows Candace Owen, and there's a lot of political, things going on around that. You have to understand that this proximity to whiteness and how I'm not even going to group us in this fuckery, that they, Onyeka and her family and friends and whatnot, the proximity to whiteness that they have been so accustomed to, that they are so gullible to think that this white man can't scam them because he's white, is mind-blowing. Because, once again, what do white people do? Not all white people, but the majority in history, if we look historically, they have convinced you that they are not the threat. So you look for other people who are the threat. But they are the biggest threat because they do all the things that are going on. All of it. Because they have positions of power. That's my take on that. Anyways, back to the conversation I'm having. What else did I write down? I also think that she's very lucky that God saved her because she didn't have no kids with this man. She could have reproduced with him, which would have meant generational trauma of being tied to him forever. She could have lost her house because she was trying to put his name in the deeds. Oh my God, he would have cleaned up. What else? She didn't lose her mental health. That's very important because she would have been sectioned, considering the level of trauma and deceit and the mind games and the whole thing. Oh, the fact that she still has a mental health, all praise and glory be to God. The fact that she's now doing this 26-part series on TikTok shows that there's potential for book deals, for TV deals, for a docuseries, maybe on Netflix, maybe on Tubi, who knows. But she's lucky because we are invested. We want to know, like, the internet's been boring for the last month or so. So this is some juicy gossip. So thank you for that. Thank you. And my final point is... I think that's it. I'll see you next video. Bye.
Why was it so easy for her to be deceived? Onyeka from the Danish, what was it? Danish Deception?
I mean, I don't know her, but people that typically go on dating shows can display traits of personality disorders, histrionic. So if he was praising her, again, I don't know her, I'm just speculating, but if he was giving the praise or the adoration, that could make a histrionic or just cluster B personalities make them feel like, oh, I'm loved, I'm wanted. So then easy to kind of play along in the game as long as she's getting her needs met. I'm wondering why he decided to leave. I don't know. Yeah.
All right, you guys, it is over. The war is over. Danish Deception is a wrap. She went through all the details. It was messy. It was sad. And at the end of the day, what the guy did was incorrect. But my biggest thing throughout this whole entire story that I kept thinking about was, if this guy was a black African, would she have allowed the situation to drag itself out for as long as she did? Because at the end of the story, the only reason they broke up was because he decided that he wanted nothing to do with her and packed his shit and went to the airport. And that's when she was fed up and angry because her hands were tied. The guy had decided to finally leave the situation, even though he fucked her up big time. You can see the power dynamic throughout the story. She was infatuated, in love, praised and obsessed with this guy. And I almost like to think that it wasn't because of his race, his whiteness, that he got away with these things, and that she was probably just genuinely naive, but I'm having a hard time believing that. I think she put this man so high up on a pedestal that a relationship that was built on lies and gamble addictions and just all these crazy things she was able to overlook for the sake of love. This woman had everything and still has everything. She had her own house, she had her own job, she has her own everything. What would have kept her in that situation for that long?
I think a really frustrating part with this whole Danish Deception thing has been Onyeka's response, and specifically in calling out black women for or criticism of her. But what she's failing to realize, and I think what a lot of black people that have internalized racism fail to realize, is that she's constantly taking race out of it. And it's almost like she doesn't see herself as a black woman, even though she is very proudly Nigerian and she has expressed she's very proud of her nationality and all of that. But there's something about a token black person that they never see the aspect of race in situations. They always think that they are the exception, and they always think that other people don't see it, you know? And it doesn't affect other people's perception. And even in her response in calling out black women and saying that this black man can do this as well, no one said black people cannot scam other black people. No one mentioned that. All we are saying is that you allowed yourself to continue being scammed, and you continued going with this lie or believing him without question because you wanted that white proximity. So you were willing to sacrifice common sense for that. And that is an issue. That is what we're calling out. Because usually those type of black people are more trusting of white people for some reason, as well as they are more likely to allow themselves to be used and sometimes abused just for the sake of being with a white person. So just